Hello and welcome to Airship Pirates World. I'm going to be showing you a quick intro of how you get into the game and rapidly get to trading. So I know a lot of people end up skipping the video, and I would encourage you not to do that in this case because you're really going to be wondering what you're supposed to be doing on this server. And in exchange, I'm going to try not to waste your time. I'm going to go as quickly as possible. So okay, you spawn in right there. You see this sign that says new players this way. So we go this way. We follow this path around, and that sign says follow the path. And you can, when you start the game, go ahead and explore this area. It's kind of neat. Just make sure you keep track of where the signs are that say choose your destination and where the destinations are. I'm going to be starting in Stovak, right over here. But as I say, in this video I want to hurry because I want you guys to actually watch the video and not skip it because there's so much that's... This server is very different than any other, so you really have to know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to Stovak again. That's what it says on the airship, so let's go. So we hop in the airship. We go up to the second floor, which is the passenger area, or the cabin area anyway. And it says this button is going to take you to where you're going to go, and you won't get a second chance, so choose carefully. And I will choose carefully. Okay, here we are. I am now in the city of Stovak. I have... Okay, I have $500 to my name, and it's a snowy city. Yeah, if you watch the series, you may know where Stovak is. It's way up north. It's a mining town, and in this town, as it says right here at this dude, is the source of iron, meaning I'm going to buy iron here and sell it in other cities. And you'll note you start with a ton of iron in your inventory. Now I could just sell it all, but the point of this is to trade. And I'm going to show you how you do that. So the other thing you want to take a note of, these nearby city signs, they are telling you where you can take these goods to trade. Also take a note of where I'm standing in the city. You can see my little map over here. That is where the cargo guy is. If you follow this loop around the city, there's this path here that kind of loops around the whole city. You should eventually get to this guy, and he's the guy that you're going to be buying your iron from to sell somewhere else. Now, like I say, you already start the game with an inventory full of iron, so we're good to go. Let's just get going. Okay, so I need to place my first vehicle, which is a small cargo skiff. It's pretty fast, it's very maneuverable in compared to the big, huge airships like that one over there. But it can't carry very much, so I'm not going to be making tons of money right away. You're going to have to work your way up to it. So you run cargo in your little trade skiff for a while. Once you have enough money, then maybe you buy a bigger ship, and then a bigger ship, and then warships, and you get into the combat, you fight some wars, and that's when, you get a lot of good action. But in the beginning, you're in a small, unarmed cargo skiff. So I just go out here onto these ice fields, and I need to get away from the city until it tells me something to the effect of you've left the city of Stovak or something like that. It should be soon because I see monsters. There you go. Now leaving the city of Stovak. All right, so now I need to place my sib. That's what this is called. A sib is a chest that will turn into a vehicle, and I'm gonna place it right there. Okay, and there is the starter skiff. Now I need to get into it. You know, there's a ladder over here, but it's one block off the ground, so I'm going to need a piece of dirt or something. I'm going to want to hurry because there's monsters around. I don't want to die. That would be rather embarrassing. If you do die, by the way, you will respawn at your starting city. So in this case, I'll respawn at Stovak. So if I were to die, I could in fact just run right back out here. I missed. I could just run right back out here and get my stuff. So it's not that bad, but still, you don't want to die, obviously. Okay. All right. So there was a sign there. It said place a sign that says private, just like this. And I will do exactly that. What that does is it makes it so that no one else can open this cockpit. Okay. And then there's another sign in here. And it says place a sign here that says pilot. Oh, okay. Sometimes when you pop the sign, it sits in the back, and you have to dig up the chest in order to reach it, so that's what I just did. Okay, and I put the chest back down. All right, and then I will replace the sign. And the sign said to put a sign saying pilot, which is what I do, and then it says pilot and it gives your name. Now I'm the only person who can pilot this ship. And there's all these monsters around, but I'm no longer concerned about it because I'm inside my craft. I'm relatively safe. They can't get up here. Okay, now this chest, before I broke it, had a stick in it. You'll want to take the stick out of that chest because that is your piloting tool. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cargo into the chest, just so that if I die, I don't have to worry about actually picking it back up. All right, I think we are just about ready for takeoff. So I will pilot the Airskiff like so. You simply right-click on the Airskiff sign, or if it was an airship, you would right-click on the airship sign. There we go. Now I'm piloting it, and I'm going to turn to face in the direction that I'll be traveling in to go to the next city, which is to the west. Well, I never showed that to you. Okay. Let me just run back to town real quick. Well, no, let's fly this thing back a little bit. So I'm now going to turn back towards the city I came from, Stovak. It's right over there. And I'm going to right-click on the cruise sign to go forward. So that basically turns the engines on and starts the skiff moving. I'll then get out my stick, and I will left-click to enter direct control mode. Then I will right-click to climb. Climbing slows your ship down, and it consumes a lot of fuel. But obviously, you have to climb to get anywhere. So you want to avoid climbing when you can, especially if you're trying to conserve fuel, like if you're just starting out, and fuel is kind of a big deal when you're first starting out because it costs money. So you see how that works. Once the engine is on, the skiff just keeps moving forward, and you can turn right by right-clicking this sign with a wheel on it. You turn left by left-clicking. I'm going to stop before I hit that hangar. Okay, and then I'm going to go down. Now, since I have turned the engine off, the only way I can maneuver is outside of direct control mode. So I left-click again to leave direct control mode, and now I can control the ship using thrusters. So you simply right-click with the stick in the direction you intend to travel. And that's called maneuvering with your thrusters. It consumes a lot of fuel, but you have to do it to get kind of fine-tuning of where exactly you're going. So you see how that works. That's basic controls. There's a bit more that we'll get into as we're traveling to the next city. But the key is you right-click on the cruise sign to move forward. You keep moving forward throughout most of your flight because it's the most efficient means of travel, also the fastest. And you turn using that, it's called the helm sign, the sign with a wheel on it. Okay, so what I neglected to mention before, you have these signs and they give coordinates, right? Okay, so let's start by putting a waypoint right where we're standing. So I'm using my map mod. Map mod is pretty much a must for the server. You really have to have a map mod. Okay, I'm going to put a point right there saying the Stovak Merchant. I do that so that I can easily fly back to it later. And then the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be flying to the city of Skiff. So I make a note of that coordinate, 5947, 3426, and I will put that in here, waypoints, new waypoint, Skiff, shelf, cargo, and I will put in those coordinates, 5947, 3426. The Y coordinate doesn't really matter. We'll just hit done. Okay, done. You may want to put in South Haven as well. I'm not going to bother because I've played near South Haven a lot. That's where my last character was based out of. So I'm not going to go that way. You know, I want to see new things. Oh, look, there's a little rabbit. It's probably going to freeze to death. Okay, now let's get back on our ship and get out of here. Oh, the wrong way, slightly. There it is. And we hop back on board. You have to jump to get up there. Pilot it. turn it. It does take a while to turn. So I had to right-click several times just because it turns really slowly unless you're moving fast. Because those thrusters just aren't good at turning. All right, and I'm going to turn the engine on. I'm going to get my stick out, and I'm going to left-click to enter direct control mode, and then I right-click to climb. And you see how that works. That's probably high enough for now. Okay, and then let me talk about the rest of the controls. So once you're in direct control mode, you hit 4 to bank left, and what it's really dependent on is what you have set in your client to open the number 4 hotbar slot. Then number 6 to bank right. See how that works? So I'm now banking towards that airship over there. And then you click on anything else to go forward. I already showed you how to go up, how to climb. You get the stick out and you right-click with the stick. Whatever slot it's in, doesn't matter. But in order to bank left, it's always slot 4, bank right, always slot 6. And then to dive, you hold down Shift. So if you hold down Shift and your character crouches, and it is tied to crouching. If you've changed the default control for that in your client, use whatever you've changed it to. So yeah, Shift dives. Diving and banking do not slow you down and do not burn any extra fuel. Climbing does. So once again, you want to limit how much you climb if possible. You can also dive and bank at the same time. Doing so gives you a high velocity, and so that's a good kind of get out of dodge move. You know, if you're in a dogfight and you got some people shooting at you, and you want to evade them quickly, diving and banking simultaneously might be a good way to do it. I've got to keep going up, or I'm going to slam into the ground. In fact, I did hit a bit of snow there, and it slowed me down. Did you see that? So I hit the snow, kind of bounced off the ground. Now I'm going much slower. I don't know if you can tell. You get a feel for how fast you're going after you've been flying around for a while. There's also a sign back here that says speed on it, and it lists the speed. Right now I'm going 29 out of a maximum speed of 57. Each craft has a different top speed. The top speed is determined by characteristics of the vehicle. In the case of a skiff like this one, it's how much wool it has. In the case of an airship, it has to do with how aerodynamic the ship is, which can end up being kind of complicated. That's kind of an advanced topic. I don't want to get too much into that, but it has to do with aspect ratio and things like that. Okay, so we're now off and running towards the sunk ship city where I'm going to sell these goods. And I'm banking left because I look at my map up here, and I can see that the arrow is off to my left, so I'm just going to keep banking left. Just leave it on the number 4 slot, so the aircraft continues to carry out whatever maneuver you have active in your hotbar slot. And then I can look at all of the monsters below me and mock them since they cannot reach me. And of course, now that I say that, there aren't any monsters below me anymore. Anyway, so it looks like I'm banking left, but it's not going to be enough to actually make it to the destination, so I'm going to have to turn eventually. But I'm going to wait before I turn so that the angle is better. I can watch the sunrise, though. It's just happening behind me. Well, I don't want to leave the cockpit. I might fall out. And then the monsters would get me, and I'd be very sad. Actually, I'd just crater into the ground and die. I'd still be sad, though. If you do fall out of your ship, by the way, you can type /man overboard to get back in. There's no penalty for doing so. Some people use it to kind of game the system. I'll show you how that works. I think I'd prefer to actually land properly, just because, kind of roleplay reasons, but there's no real reason you have to. Alright, so we're coming up on a whole bunch of airships that I see up ahead, and those airships are parked in the city. I'm going to have to dive before I run into that guy's ship right there. Okay, that should be enough. And I think I'm ready to do that turn. So I will left click on this, that will turn me left, and then I will start banking right. You note that I did slow down when I have to climb to get past this ship. It's so crowded here. Okay, let's just go straight a bit and then start banking again. But you can look at all of the beautiful airships floating all around, including this very strange looking one in front of me. Has sort of a dropship look to it. Alright, there's the diamond I'm headed for, the cargo dude. And almost there. I think we're gonna do one more turn. And it didn't hear me the first time, so I right clicked again. Start banking the other way. Look, there's a fat little airship over there. Okay, I should be about close enough. So I'm going to turn the engine off. Now, if you are, let's see, you don't have to land to conduct business in a city. I can simply take a single piece of iron ore, or a single piece of whatever your cargo is, hold it in your inventory, and type /unload. Okay? And that will do this cargo unloading process. It charges you a small fee, but especially if you're in a big cargo freighter with 50 chests, it's a lot easier to use the automatic unloading than to do it yourself. But it does charge you a small fee. You reload by having the cargo item in your hand and then typing /load. Now, I don't have the cargo item of this city because it's the first time I've ever visited it. So, I will leave direct control mode so that I'm using the ship's thrusters again, and I will now maneuver down onto that landing pad. Now, like I say, if you're just doing trading and you don't want to visit the city, you don't even have to land. You can just stay in the air. Oh, and I said I was going to show you how man overboard works. Okay, so if I just jump off here, because it's a city, I won't die. And then I type /man overboard. It takes me right back to my ship. We do that because sometimes you fall out. If you're not secure inside the cockpit, you can fall out of the ships. So we want to give players a way to get back up, because it's very frustrating when it happens. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to take it down, taking it in for a landing here. Center it, do it properly, man. Look good. Okay, there we go. Now we're on the ground. Okay, now I'm going to do a few things before I leave this city. First, I'm going to check my balance, see how we're doing here. Okay, I've got about 3K, that's not bad. So I'm going to buy one of the cargo item of this place. And the cargo item here is pork. There's supposed to be a sign here saying that the source of pork, but there isn't one. Not sure what's going on there. I will add a sign as soon as I'm done filming this video. The other thing I want to do is I need to buy some fuel for my ship. So I'm going to go over here, and you see there's a cluster of NPCs up there, faces on the map. And so I know that's a shopping area. So I walk up here, and I look for the guy who is the minerals guy. He's the one who sells fuel. I talk to him, and I buy fuel. You want to be real careful in the beginning not to spend all your money on fuel, or, well, you won't have any money. And it takes about a stack, at least on this trade route, it takes about a stack. Isn't that a beautiful horse? Our build team is the best. Shout out to the build team. But yeah, it takes about a stack to do this run. So I'm only going to take one stack with me, because right here in the beginning you just don't have the money to spare. And like I say, you've got to be real careful what you spend. Your trade skiff does come filled with fuel. Let's see what I have left. I still have a stack left, but better safe than sorry, right? Okay, so now that I've picked up one piece of the item of this city, I will pilot the ship I will get out the piece of inventory, piece of cargo, and I'll type /load, and it will simply take all my available money and use it to buy the cargo item. By the way, the mod, as long as I'm doing shout-outs, the plugin that allows me to do that was also made by one of the players on the server. So, thanks to them. Alright, let's get out of here. So I'm loaded up with cargo. I can look at it in this chest. Oh, look, it's full of pork chops. Yum, yum. So once again, I will left-click. I'm doing it in the wrong order, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to turn my ship around. And it's slow. There it goes. Finally turned around. Then I will turn the engine on. And I will right-click to start climbing. And I go real slow at first until the engines get up to speed. So you see how that works. Very simple. The direct control commands, they tend to work pretty well. They respond well to controls. It allows you to kind of have a precision attack. So if you're lining up an attack, it's much easier to aim exactly at what you intend to hit using the direct controls. So at this point, I basically fly back to the city that I came from. I can use this little green arrow to guide me. And once I get there, I, of course, would hold the pork chop in my inventory, this one, number 3, and I would do /unload, and it would sell them all. And then I would pick out the piece of iron from my inventory and hit /load, and it would load that up. And I just keep doing that, going back and forth. That bridge for the climb. There we go. So you just keep doing that, going back and forth, and slowly your wealth will increase. And that is how you trade. And like I say, eventually you get enough money, you can buy larger cargo vessels, you can buy warships, you can get involved in some of the wars that are happening. Right now there's a war going on, and you can typically auxiliary for one of the sides. You can get paid for that. Or, I mean, a lot of the time people do it just for the fun of it, to get in there and blow stuff up, because that's what this game is all about. And then you can be a pirate too. By the way, I don't think I've mentioned it, so this vessel is completely unarmed and unarmored, so it's very vulnerable to piracy. It's fast though, so you can outrun a lot of pirates. But yeah, you can become a pirate, go around shooting people down, stealing their cargo. There's a lot to it. But the basic fundamental mechanic that you probably want to get started with is this trading. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you have a great time on the server. I know I have. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and have a good night.